Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I was speaking with a friend of mine. Keep the good ones, keep the good ones. And she asked me a question. She asked me, how is it that, and what do I do that allows me to navigate new cities? And I took a step back in my mind and thought, what does she mean, navigate new cities? And then I thought to myself, hang on, I have been to quite a few new cities that I'm not accustomed or familiar with. And they include Havana, Cuba, Waterloo, Canada, Sochi, Russia, Newcastle, London, some of the lovely islands we have, Roseau in Dominica, in the Caribbean. And I said, I have navigated quite a few new cities. And more importantly, she asked, how do you do it on your own? And these are cities that even if I went with a group, I would branch off and have my own adventure, sometimes for a day. Some of these cities I've been in for months, and I had to navigate my own way through them. Sometimes I'm going to very serious meetings, events. I have to get to places on time. So I really need to get myself as integrated as possible so that whether I'm on an adventure or I actually have to be at a place for a particular time, I'm comfortable navigating these new cities. So the structure of the video is going to be like this. I am going to explain what I have done before I actually get to a new city, and then during the time period that I am in this new city, what I do to maximize any opportunities I get, to seize opportunities, to have great adventures, and then also make sure the time I stay is a quality time. And then thirdly, after. And that means after a particular event that I am in the city for, or just generally after I have visited and my time is up and it's time to move on to somewhere else. So I have my notes here and I'm going to start with before. Before I go to a city, I definitely tap into Google Maps. I may start with a map view, but I may also go to a street view, especially if I know exactly where I'm staying in this new city. And I take advantage of the zoom in feature of the Google Maps. So sometimes I will start with a wider view, and a wider view doesn't necessarily show you all of the spots or businesses that may be on roads, but when you zoom in further, you will then find these businesses. And what I like to do is just start with my interests. So whatever catches my interest, I remember that road, I remember where it is, because I find the more landmarks you have, the easier it is for you to be comfortable and confident. And I guess I'll talk about confidence a bit more, but you want to be as comfortable as you can in this new city. So I get to know the area, and then if I have any meetings or any other stable or organized events beforehand, I check those out and I check those areas. If it's anything like an interview, if it is a very serious meeting, then sometimes I will actually go to the area a day before and enjoy the area. What I find is when you're meeting people in new cities for the first time, a really great icebreaker or a way for you to have good common ground is for you to know the area as much as you can. And so during conversation, you feel quite grounded in saying, oh, let's go to this lunch spot after we finish this meeting. Or the gallery around this area is quite nice. And it really softens up conversation when you're having conversation with new people in new cities. If I can't visit beforehand and I have meetings, I definitely try, if there is time, to check the transportation apps that are available for whatever system exists. If these apps exist, but I do check, and I do check Google, for example, around the time that I would have the meeting, so that I am more sure of the time it would take me to get to this meeting in this new area, in this new city. Simple things that I realized I just used to do, but I didn't take note of. I have a step in order to how I move around. I also grab paper maps, just because phone batteries die, internet can be unstable, and I just try my best never to be caught unawares, always to be prepared. So paper maps are they're just cool things to have. I also take screenshots, because when the phone you can no longer have your Wi-Fi on because maybe it's taking too much battery, or if the Wi-Fi isn't showing you good movements, you have these screenshots available for yourself so that you can navigate your way throughout these cities. Let's talk about the during. So when I'm in new cities and I've landed, I have my home base, so to speak, I start to own my area. And that means having what I call confidence routes. And here's where I'll talk a little bit about confidence, because whenever you're in a new city, you never want a look of unfamiliarity or a quizzical look or an unsurety to be the only thing people see on your face. That, I think, first of all, it means that you are definitely worried about many things. It takes away from you enjoying the moment and enjoying where you are. And then also it can put off some of the conversations or people that you may be meeting. Nevertheless, if you're confused and worried, let's hope you find a good friend who can help you out. But at the same time, it's best to be confident in where you're going and what you want to do, so that you can present your best self to whoever you may meet. That's the fun thing about traveling and adventure. You meet so many people, and when you put your best self forward, you can have some really great returns, really great friendships coming out of that. So having your confidence route means you know almost all of the roads to get to your home base or to get to the area, the location that you're in. You know which roads are in, which roads are out, and you know a few of the bus routes that get you to major centers. And what I consider a center is a group of services or companies or organizations that would include everything from a pharmacy to a doctor's office to a police station to a mall or shopping center to boutiques and food places. Anything that becomes a good base for your survival and comfort, so to speak, in this new place. So know the bus that is closest to your home base, where it goes and where it comes back. And as you branch out, then you know, if only I get on this one bus, if only I catch this one train, I will get home. And when you are exploring and you're far away from home, just the confidence in knowing that you know how to get back home can just free your mind so that you can be your best self and have really great confident conversations with anyone you meet on the way home. And secondly, I will say, in as much as you want to know some routes, the advantage of knowing the routes that connect to your home base means that you can take chances. You can take chances and hop on some other bus and know that however it works out, it's a cyclical route. And when you leave, you will come back. And so you can have your own adventures just on some bus routes. Some bus routes can be quite long and quite beautiful. And especially if you choose your hours wisely and try to go off peak, you can then have I have found in many cities, you can have quite lovely tours just by sitting on public transportation. I also think that during your stay in a new city, from my experience, it is very good to always be using your common sense. Kind of amp up that logical mind of yours just a little bit, because you still need to know where north, south, east, and west is. You need to be using your common sense, and this will indeed help you and be your safety net as you navigate cities. I definitely recommend downloading any app that connects to the national services. Some national services do have apps, other apps are independent, and Google is there for many countries as well. But definitely make sure that you are connected to that. In tapping back to taking chances, sometimes you have to combine that with common sense, because not everything goes well and rosy. And so you definitely want to be able to say, well, I've found myself at this station and I'm not sure where my bus route really is. Sometimes I think like an architect, or I think like a city planner. And I say, well, if this is a rectangular building and they need to have X number of exits, there will be an exit on one side, there will be an exit, a main exit, and there will be an exit to the left or to the right. And so if I can't find my exit on the left, technically, if they want to be able to allow the free movement of people, there should be an exit on the right. And sometimes if you think that way, that can help you put trust in a system that's much larger than you, and you can go out saying, well, there must be a way out. There must be another route here. There must be, whatever goes up must come down. And so that should be able to boost your confidence to ask questions. Never be afraid to ask questions. You do want to perhaps look around and scout for the person you think may more probably give you an answer. You don't want to knock over a business person who's, flying through the door. You clearly see they're on a mission going somewhere, but maybe someone who looks a bit more comfortable and relaxed, you can ask them. But regardless, never be afraid to ask questions. Your life could literally be depending on it, or sometimes the answer might not appear to you, but the locals know where they're going. They do this every day. So finally, the after. After I go to a place in particular, I always remember to be thankful for the time I spent there and try not to overstay my time just because I feel, the day can last forever. Night will come eventually, and sometimes, depending on where you are, you really don't want to be adventuring in night when you left only prepared for the day. So for me, that means that I always look at my return trip home just in case. Sometimes things happen and you can end up adventuring from one place to another place and never go back the same way. But I find it's always useful to have a way back home to home base, have a way back to wherever you may be staying or back to a train station. Always have a way back, and that includes the same screenshots. That includes knowing on a map which direction generally you would be going to make your way back. And that just, again, helps you feel more confident because you can decide not to go back, but at any point in time, if you feel you have to, you can. And I will say, especially if you're having fun in the evening, when I say be thankful for the time you've spent, I mean, never try to sacrifice the great time you had for what you know may be a difficult journey home if you don't leave by a certain time. Enjoy the moment, even if it's short, and have a comfortable and safe route back to wherever you're going. I believe that is always better than having a great time, extending your time a lot farther past when you thought you would have ended, and then have a terrible time, catching trains the wrong direction, catching the wrong bus at that time of night. I remember in my travels to London day buses is a completely different experience to night. I believe there was an entire show that was based on night life, night transportation life in London. It's really crazy how many dynamics change a few hours after the sun goes down. So also after in general, I will enjoy myself, and then I will make my way back home, or I will go with people to wherever I'm going next and kind of keep going. When it comes to places closing, let's say you're staying to a place till the end, sometimes depending on the rides that you're booking afterwards, if you are on an app trying to get a ride, the demand is going to increase in the area if the place that you went or other companies as well are closing at the same time. And once that demand for rides go up, the cost you will pay for your ride goes up as well. Sometimes I actually try to manage my budget by pre-booking rides. You can use many different apps for this. It really depends on which country you're in. A friend of mine, another one, who was traveling through Central and South America, said that she would book her way, that being flights, sometimes just rides across countries for a particular period of time. That doesn't only manage costs, but it also keeps you moving, because sometimes you can be so comfortable in exactly where you are that you forget there's more to explore. You can go further than that. And so it's really good to book ahead of time, sometimes saving costs and also keeping you moving for your adventures. So I've talked a lot. We've got the before I go, the during, and the after. And I realize that I have not drawn on very many actual examples from my travels. So maybe I'll break that down a bit more. But just as a bonus, I will say that you need to enjoy your journey for whatever you find is interesting. That's easy to do sometimes when you are on your own. When you're in a group, maybe a bit different. You have some different dynamics. But I always try to get a snapshot of the culture. And for me, I look at areas that interest me. I like to visit anywhere on the water. I love parks. I also love to visit the public galleries and the courts in whatever country I'm in. I also enjoy taking public transportation because I actually get a feeling for how locals navigate their day-to-day life, and it just gives me a more down-to-earth trip and journey and feel for whichever country I'm in. I love to try food, but what I find is unless you're going to a city that is less commercialized or is less diverse, then you end up having food from all over the world, which is great, but sometimes you have to dig really, really deep to find food that is representative of the city itself or the culture or the nation that you're visiting, because there's just so many other options. So I think I've covered my bases. I'm very sure that I can give more information with examples from many of my trips, but this is me talking about the days when I felt great adventuring on my own. There were problems, there are stories, but there were some really great times, and I hope you enjoyed learning about my before, during, and after. And to my future self, remember all of the highlights, all of the things that you've done, and all of the people that you've met along the way. Thank you.